Greetings and welcome to another episode of Pinball Stories. This is a new series of videos that I'm doing where I talk about the behind the scenes and the provenance of some of the games that I've come across. And hopefully they're interesting stories, a little bit more color onto the whole idea of pinball and the lore and everything associated with it. So on today's episode, it's Gottlieb's Slick Chick. I believe this is a 1961 game, maybe 1963, but I think it's 1961. It's an early Gottlieb wedge head pinball machine. It has the little small flippers down here. This is probably one of the most beloved games in our collection. Everybody loves it. Even people that really don't typically like older EMs love this game. It's kind of the great equalizer. Everybody that gets on it gets their butt whipped. It doesn't show any kind of favoritism to anybody. It's a great game to use in competition. It requires a lot of nudging skill, and it's a fun game to play. And I'm going to talk about how I came across this. This game is basically mostly original. I probably did a series of videos where I talked about recreating some of the pop bumper tops. Some of these are original and some of them are hand painted, and they've been aged to look like they're original, so it's hard to tell which ones are which. It looks like I've got some cool whites bulbs and some warm whites. I have converted this game over to about half and half LEDs and incandescence. I think there's mostly incandescence on the playfield where you can see the balls, but there's a few LEDs, including some that are probably in the pop bumpers. And I don't remember what I did with them in the pop bumpers, because I can see some. This is clearly cool. This is clearly warm. Anyway, let me tell you about how I came across this game, because that's really a funny, interesting story. So, I played this a little bit, and I was well aware of how beloved the game Slick Chick is and how sought after. It's really one of the games that everybody loves to rave over, and it's kind of one of those A-list EM games. And I won't go into why it's such a great game. I'll do a one-shot pinball review on that later. But I'm going to talk about how I found this game. It basically popped up on Craigslist in nearby Mississippi, if I recall. And it sat on there, and the guy was asking, I think, $1,200 for it. And I inquired, and this guy knew nothing about pinball. He had gotten the game out of a storage unit. So I think he bought a storage unit and brought the game home, plugged it in, and it didn't work. I think, actually, he said when he got it, there was no plug in it. So he put a plug on it or something, which is always a bad sign. And he couldn't get it to work. He couldn't get it to start a game or anything. So he didn't really know exactly what the condition was. But of course, like most people that are selling stuff like this, he looked it up and found somebody asking for $1,500, $1,000, $2,000, and thought, okay, well, that's what the game is worth. And so he listed it. And, I said, well, if you don't know what kind of condition it's in, I can't pay anywhere near that much. Let me know if you're willing to compromise. And he's like, yeah, I saw it on here. It was this much. So I said, well, I can't pay that. So I ignored it. I blew the thing off. And of course, this thing sat on Craigslist for like 2 or 3 months. So I called back one day, and I think I may have called like a month later and asked him if he was, how low he would go. And he wasn't really willing to compromise that much. So I blew it off again. Fast forward another couple months, this thing is still sitting on Craigslist. So I call over there, and this time I get a woman on the phone. And she said, and she's like, how much you give me for the game? Like right off the bat, just how much you give me for the game? And I'm like, well, to be honest, it doesn't work. I don't even know if it's complete. I know what the story is and how your guy just found it. To me, it's worth about $300. And she says, come get it. And I'm like, wait, I was talking to your husband. She's like, it's my house. This thing is in my living room. I'm tired of it. Get it out of here. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to drive all the way to another state and have your husband say, "Oh no, we're not selling it for that." And she says, "I assure you, I'm the boss here. If I tell you you can buy it for $300, you can buy it for $300, and there's nothing that he's going to say." I said, "Can you get him on the phone?" And she goes, "Just come. It'll be yours. You can have it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I hopped in my car and drove over there. And, he was there, but, she said, "Don't you say anything to him. We're selling it. This is what he's giving us." So I came in, I laid the $300 down, and I walked out with the game. And he had this look on his face, but I guess his wife gave him too much, gave him enough chances to sell it at what he wanted to get it for. He couldn't. So I walked out. Took the game out for $300. Brought it home, and it's not in all that great a shape. I mean, you can see that the cabinet's pretty rough. I have not really done any cosmetic work on it at all. That back glass is original, and it's in quite really good condition. There's just a little bit of flaking. Obviously, I put some LEDs in the back because I just don't like, I like to kind of reduce the power footprint on it. So I brought it home. And I did a little bit of tweaking on it, just a few little adjustments of some of the relays inside. And it came on and it worked. It was like that. Bam. It was complete, and it did operate. Then there was a couple of missing pop bumper caps, and I got some of those from a pinball resource, and then we aged them a little bit to match the other ones, because the newer ones, the older ones are blue with marbled white. The newer ones are just blue. So we literally painted on some of these fake marbling so they would all look the same, and it came out really, really good. And that's basically the condition the game has been in. I've never really messed with it a whole lot. It's probably lived a really long, hard life. You can see, but look at that. It's a bit grungy, but the game works and it plays really, really well, and everybody loves it. So my philosophy is, don't mess with it. Could it be restored and brought back into really, really beautiful condition? I'm sure it probably could, but right now it plays. Everybody loves it, so we're just going to kind of keep it the way it is, and enjoy our $300 slick chick that we got from a guy who bought a storage unit, and then it filled up his living room for too long, and the wife said, "Get rid of it." And so that's how it became part of our collection, and we're very thankful. We're very thankful for these kinds of people, and hopefully there will be many other fun little deals like this. Sometimes we get these things and they're completely roached. This one we lucked out and it was able to get running. So there's our fun story about the slick chick that was listed on Craigslist for $1,200 that we got for $300. So remember, there's always deals out there. You got to kind of just be patient. And anyway, thanks for watching. For more, visit pinballhelp.com. Catch me on Twitter, on Facebook, and everywhere else. Thanks for watching.